What if Anakin went to Kashyyyk with Yoda? In Revenge of the Sith, the Separatists invade Kashyyyk as one of the final major campaigns of the Clone Wars. Yoda is elected to go, meaning when Anakin turns to the dark side, the Grand Master was not on Coruscant to stop him. But what if this wasn't the case? And what if Anakin actually went with Yoda to Kashyyyk? How would that change the Star Wars timeline we all know and love today? Let's start today's story on Coruscant during the events of Revenge of the Sith. Anakin has just returned from killing Count Dooku and defeating the Separatist invasion on Coruscant. He finally gets to go home and see his wife Padme for the first time in months. However, that night, Anakin has visions of Padme dying in childbirth, and Anakin's life is flipped upside down. He couldn't understand this. His wife was going to die giving birth to their baby. But why? It didn't seem fair. Anakin committed himself to finding whatever solution he needed to save her. The following morning, he meets with Master Yoda in the Jedi Temple.
Careful you must be, Anakin. These visions, unknown the source of them is,
Anakin kept his head down as he explained his premonitions to Yoda. He didn't say it was about Padme or that it detailed somebody he loved in childbirth, simply that he saw somebody he loved die in his nightmares. In the original timeline, Yoda tells Anakin he must let go of everything he fears to lose. But this wasn't the correct advice. It reflected an older time in the Jedi Order. Yoda only realized this after the Order fell, and knew that the Council had been leading the Jedi into the past instead of into the future. So what if in this timeline he took this conversation with Anakin more seriously? I won't let my attachment die, my master. She means too much to me.
Remember your training, young Skywalker. Change the future you cannot. Remain in the present and let the Force flow you must.
Master, I can't just accept these visions. If someone I love is in danger, I have to stop it. Yoda paused for a moment as he considered his options. Anakin was clearly uptight, and these visions gripped him more than any other. The Grand Master hadn't seen the Chosen One in a state like he was now.
Hear it, I do. A storm in you, growing it is.
Then tell me what to do. I don't know how to stop this. Anakin was looking for answers, but more than all, he was looking for guidance from the Council. He didn't want to be alone when he faced this. That's what allowed Palpatine to bring Anakin under his web originally, is that the Council essentially turned him away when he needed them most, but Palpatine embraced him.
Too long have we let you struggle alone. Failed, the Council has. And I, most of all.
What are you saying?
Train you, I will. Alone, you are not.
Anakin nodded as he closed his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. Later that day, the Council convened to discuss the Separatist invasion on the Wookiees. Yoda immediately volunteers himself to go, which the Council is in full agreement with. However, Yoda says he wishes Anakin to be removed from his assignment with Palpatine and join him on Kashyyyk. The Council was admittedly confused, but the Grand Master had already made up his mind. Even whilst they were in session, Yoda could sense Anakin's mind racing, and he knew he was making the right decision. Before Anakin was deployed to Kashyyyk, he was summoned by Palpatine to the opera. Just like we saw in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine tells him the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, which captured Anakin and lured him closer to evil. As Palpatine explains that a Jedi can't learn this power, Anakin tells him that he's been reassigned to Kashyyyk to join Master Yoda. Palpatine instantly froze. What? He thought to himself. He tries to remain stoic, but inside he's a raging storm. This wasn't part of the plan, he thought to himself. Anakin was meant to remain on Coruscant, while Yoda gets as far away from the capital. The Dark Lord knew he'd have to delay his plans. The Jedi arrived on Kashyyyk to gunfire and explosions. The Separatists had invaded. Death reigned over the landscape as Wookiees fought off their incoming droids. Yoda and Obi-Wan landed on the ground and began slicing droids to the floor with their lightsabers. The position was slowly being stabilized, causing Anakin and the Grand Master to retreat to a vantage point whilst the clones continued to defend. As they slept that night, Anakin began to shake in his bed. His mind was jolting to a faraway place where he once again envisioned his wife being killed in childbirth. He watched as her life force left her body and she passed away. Anakin wakes up screaming, causing everyone around them, including Yoda, to stare at him. he couldn't get these visions out of his head. Admittedly, Anakin had a lot going on in his life at this time. He had just been denied the rank of Master, a title that meant so much to him, as it would have granted him access to the restricted section, where he would have been able to search for the clues to save his wife. He knew that the Council didn't trust him, that the Order didn't trust him, and he felt like an outcast. He attempted to speak with his wife about this, but Padme just told Anakin not to worry, an answer he didn't want to hear. Anakin's inner turmoil was becoming increasingly difficult to contain. That morning, he stood atop a massive tree towered across the entire battlefield. He watched the sun rise over the horizon and let his emotions drop. Yoda continues to sense the turmoil within Anakin and feels obliged to address it.
Restless you were. Screamed you did. What happened, young Skywalker?
Anakin's jaw clenched as he looked upon the battlefield. It was nothing, Master. Just another dream, another premonition like yesterday.
Nothing it was not. Shaken you are, deeply. Sense it I do.
Yoda walks around Anakin, studying him, seeing how deep he can look inside the boy. Anakin at first hesitated and brushed off Yoda's words, but the Grand Master remained determined.
In meditation, speak of a loved one you did.
Anakin remained silent as Yoda pieced it all together.
Tell me who this person is. I wonder, why won't you? Perhaps embarrassed you may feel. No. Dangerous you may think it is. Your thoughts are clouded.
Anakin tried to think about other things, but Yoda was getting through.
Acting dishonestly you are, The Jedi Code. Break it, have you?
That was it. Yoda had cracked Anakin's secret. He stumbled on his words as he assessed Yoda's face, but to his surprise, there was no anger, not even disappointment, but simple intrigue. Yoda was trying to help, and Anakin could see that. Anakin swallowed hard, staring into the distance as if the horizon might offer him some courage. At last, he exhaled. It's her, Master. The person in my visions. It's Padme.
Padme, the Senator. Close to you, you have grown. Too close.
I'm not just close to her. Anakin stops, before closing his eyes and just blurting it out. I'm married to her. There was silence. Even the distant sounds of blaster fire felt mute.
Forbidden this is, but more than rule breaking, I fear. Love leads to fear. Fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate.
Yoda continued to walk around Anakin with his cane, piecing together this entire puzzle.
Lose her, you believe you will, and walk down the dark path it will take you.
Anakin clenched his fist as his anger rose. You don't understand. You've never loved anyone. You sit above it all and call it wisdom, but you're empty. You have no idea what it's like to fear losing someone you can't live without. What did he just say? Anakin thought to himself. How could he say that to the Jedi Grand Master?
Wrong you are. Care deeply, I do. But accept the cycle of life a Jedi must. Save someone from death. Unnatural it is. A twisting of the Force. Prepare you, I can. Guide you I will, but cheat death. Impossible.
Anakin's eyes darkened with frustration. It's not impossible. Darth Plagueis did it. Yoda's ears snapped upright.
Repeat that, you will.
Palpatine told me the story last night. He said Plagueis could manipulate the Force to keep the ones he cared about from dying.
A Sith legend. Unknown to the Jedi it is, yet known to the Chancellor. Troubling. Deeply troubling.
He said the Jedi couldn't teach me this power. Yoda became very concerned very quickly. He immediately recognized that Anakin's premonitions may not be real, that by Palpatine telling him this convenient story, that perhaps the Sith Lord behind the Clone Wars knows that Padme is pregnant and is using Anakin's fear against him. He tells Anakin this: if the visions aren't real, then what have I been chasing? Yoda was unable to answer this, but he knew he needed to take careful steps. From Kashyyyk, they contact the Jedi Council. Both Obi-Wan and Plo Koon instantly came to Anakin's aid and said protecting him is their #1 importance. Windu would at first reprimand Anakin and said his breaking of the Jedi Code could have cost them the war. But Yoda silenced the second in command. He said that wasn't important now. There was a unanimous vote for the duo to return to Coruscant, that the council had to remain together and figure out what was going with Anakin and how to protect him. As the two returned, Kit Fisto and Luminara Unduli were sent to the Wookiees to continue the battle. All of a sudden, Anakin was very pleased to be a part of the Jedi's family, and for once, he felt like they actually cared about him. Each and every council member asked if he were okay, and said they would do everything in their power to help him. This wasn't the Jedi he remembered. Alongside this, Yoda was training with Anakin. They meditated together, sparred, and Anakin was able to let out his anger whilst also maintaining a grip on control. With things finally going his way, he began to think. He knew that his wife was going to be okay because of the fictitious dreams, and because of this, Anakin's inner turmoil depleted. As for Palpatine, he was furious. His grip on Anakin was effectively gone. Over a decade of hard work has gone in the space of 3 days. There was no subtle manipulation that could work now that Anakin was under the protective gaze of the Council. The Dark Lord had to change his strategy. In his mind, he still needed Anakin to turn to the dark side. He was the best prodigy the Force had seen in literal history. If he could manipulate the Chosen One, he had to force him into a state of complete and total evil. To do this, he hired the notorious bounty hunter Cad Bane. He meets with him on the lower levels of Coruscant, disguised as Darth Plagueis, where he tells him to eliminate Senator Padme Amidala. That fateful night, as darkness shrouded their apartment, Bane snuck in and he pointed his blaster at Padme as she slept. However, he hadn't expected Anakin to be right there, and as Bane fired his blaster at Padme, Anakin's senses erupted and he reacted with lightning fast reflexes, igniting his blade and blocking the strike. Cad Bane immediately assumes the defensive and tries to leave the apartment, but Anakin's determination to protect his beloved Padme fueled his strength. Anakin's fingers formed a pincer movement as his force choke almost killed Bane. Skywalker bellowed at the bounty hunter to know who hired him. Bane remained quiet at first, but as the air in his lungs began to leave him, he called for Anakin to stop and said who hired him: Sidious. Cad Bane is arrested and taken into custody while the council holds a meeting. Everyone has something to say, and everyone was unsettled. Only someone positioned on Coruscant could have hired Cad Bane and supplied him with the level of equipment required for such an operation. The implication hangs in the air. Whoever orchestrated this was not just powerful, but close, within the political heart of the Republic. The council members exchange grim looks as the conclusion settles over them. Darth Sidious isn't hiding in some distant world. He is operating from Coruscant. Obi-Wan discusses what Dooku said years ago, that a Sith Lord was in control of the Republic. At the time, they didn't take what Dooku said seriously, but what if Dooku was telling the truth? What if Sidious was leading the Republic? Later that day, Yoda, Windu and Obi-Wan meet with Organa and reveal what they've pieced together. They say they believe the Sith Lord behind the Clone Wars has played both sides from the beginning. Darth Sidious is a top-level Republic official. Yoda presents an idea to Organa, one that could expose the infiltrator without tipping him off. Organa agrees and brings the proposal straight to the Senate floor. Standing before thousands, he calls for a vote mandating a midi-chlorian screening for all senators and high-ranking officials. It is a measure the Jedi Order fully supports, citing heightened concerns that a Force-sensitive collaborator has embedded himself within the Republic government. The delegation of 2,000 stands firmly behind Organa, but to the Jedi's surprise, much of the rest of the Senate responds with fear rather than with resistance. The possibility of an enemy in their midst is enough to sway many. The vote passes by a clear majority, making the test compulsory for every official on Coruscant. Each blood test is required to have a Jedi present, and the first batch are carried out over the following day, with senators and their committees undergoing the test. Now, as bureaucrats step forward one by one and reveal ordinary midichlorian counts, Palpatine feels a bead of sweat slide down his temple. He knows his own numbers, 20,000, impossible to hide. A reading like that would expose him instantly. However, Palpatine also knew the test was coming and had a day to prepare his counterattack. He had ensured that his blood test would be fabricated through his inner circle by having the doctor who takes his blood be secretly a separatist. Yoda, Mace Windu, Anakin and Obi-Wan follow the doctors as they go to Palpatine's office for his test. He was the final person to be tested.
Masters, welcome.
Palpatine said with a smile. "This will be over quickly, and you can go back to your Jedi business." The Jedi didn't respond to his pleasantries. At this point, the whole council suspected Palpatine of working with the Sith Lord. They didn't believe he was clean, but a Sith Lord, that wasn't their inclination. Palpatine's personal doctor, Dr. Sion, injected Palpatine and took his blood, clear as day for the Jedi to see. As the results came in, the doctor calmly read that Chancellor Palpatine possessed an M count of 4,800, which was high but also plausible for such an intellectual man. This proved nothing for the Jedi. "Satisfied, Masters? This charade has wasted enough of the Republic's time." The Jedi bowed and began to leave. Unfortunately, this hadn't determined anything. However, as they began to exit his office, Mace Windu's comlink buzzed, causing Dr. Sion, who was very nervous and unsettled, to halt, and he accidentally knocked his medical tray to the floor. Obi-Wan instinctively darted to help, as the Jedi Master began picking things up off the floor. Obi-Wan's hand brushes against the used extraction needle from Palpatine's blood test. As he goes to place it with the other vials, Kenobi feels a small jolt in the Force, one that could only come from a highly sensitive M count in blood cells. "Doctor, this needle, did you use it for the Chancellor's test?" Sion forced a smile but kept looking down. Of course, standard procedure." Obi-Wan listens to the needle between his two fingers. "Then tell me why the Force screams from this blood, while the blood in your analyzer is almost zero." Not needing any more clarification, Mace Windu ignited his amethyst lightsaber and says, "What's going on here?" Palpatine's facade completely cracked. With rage and anger, he dispersed lightning, hitting Dr. Sion in the chest and killing him, while the other Jedi in the room blocked. "It's you. You're the Sith Lord. You lied to me my entire life." "You were only a tool, but no matter. You'll soon see what I'm capable of." Palpatine leaped back and breaks the window behind him, falling to the streets below. All four Jedi follow out the window and a chase across Coruscant begins. Anakin and Obi-Wan pursue him on foot as he leaps from speeder to speeder, while Yoda and Windu find a small shuttle. Every few steps, Palpatine threw lightning back at them, forcing Obi-Wan to block while Anakin pushed forward. The chase dropped lower and lower into the city, the three of them jumping across moving speeders in a straight, frantic line. Suddenly, a Republic shuttle swung in from the side, cutting Palpatine off. The Sith Lord skidded across the top of the speeder to avoid being hit, as Windu leaned out and shouted, "Now, don't let him escape." Anakin threw his saber at Palpatine, causing him to evade, and he tripped off the speeder and onto the floor. All four Jedi landed around him and ignited their blades. Sidious had no chance but to fight. As he swung at Yoda, Windu attacked from the left. Sidious ignited a second lightsaber to try and defend from these attacks, but the onslaught was too much. In this duel, Anakin is focused on one goal: killing Palpatine. He has no emotional turmoil and knows his friendship with Palpatine all these years was a lie. Because of his emotional stability, he was able to tap into his true Chosen One power. He worked alongside Windu, the Master of Vapod, who increased in strength as the battle progressed. But in the end, Windu and Anakin, the two most skilled Jedi of the age, were too much for Palpatine and overwhelmed him with sheer strength and technique, killing the Sith Lord. As Republic gunships and civilians watched in horror, Palpatine was unmasked, and the entire galaxy watched as the Chancellor was revealed as evil. It would take many years for the Senate and people of the Republic to understand what happened. As the council convened again in their chambers, Anakin was asked to rise. "You have shown the true characteristics of a Jedi, Anakin. Something which I myself didn't think I'd be saying. But you've impressed me, and you've impressed everyone else here." "Thank you, Master." Windu paused before continuing. "However, you still broke the Jedi Code, and it's important you know you won't just be let off for this." Anakin nodded. In his mind, he thought he was going to be expelled.
"To Naboo you will go. Away from the Jedi Temple for some time you will be. Learn from this, you must."
Anakin was slightly confused. "Why Naboo?" he asked, confused, but with a sly smile. "Well, come on, Anakin. A certain senator from Naboo is giving birth, and she's requested Jedi protection." Obi-Wan was being sarcastic, but Yoda took over.
"Blind we were to the value of attachment. Fear it we should not. A new path the Order must walk, where attachment allowed it is.
Anakin nodded and he left the chamber, flying straight home to Padme, where they would start the next chapter of their lives. Hey everyone, really quick, for the entire month of January at Fantasy Sabers, we are giving away a free Negotiator Deluxe Saber with every order over $250. This is your chance to get 2 sabers for the price of 1. We have over 100 sabers on offer, and I would strongly encourage you to check this out if you've been wanting your own saber. Thanks again, and I'll leave a link in the description below. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If the Kaminoans deleted Order 66 and what if Anakin had visions of choking Padme. If you love Star Wars, then you need to check out Fantasy Sabers. We offer sabers from your favorite characters that you can choose from, as well as custom hilts which we have made ourselves. It's such a fun community and has grown my love for Star Wars so much. I'll leave a link in the description, so be sure to check it out.